believe in chemistry to the sound of violins. I believe that what you see isn't all when you forgive. I believe that identity is a race to grace. And when you know what I'm singing about, then will you begin? I believe that hope will rise. I believe in a better life. I believe when you rise, you'll rise in the darkest before the light. What do you believe?
Hello everyone and welcome to I Believe. My name is Jamie Claire for those who may not know, and welcome for joining today. For those that already know me, hey, what's going on? We are coming live from Los Angeles, California in the beautiful United States. And I just want to say, hey, from wherever you're coming from, wherever you're watching from, I'm so glad to have you. I am always excited and love your feedback. So all that to say, here is the number to call in live at any time during the show. That is from 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that number is 424-305-4344. All right, you have it again. That's 424-305-4344. And for those that, again, are joining for the first time, I Believe is about, you know, just things that we can share about our faith-filled life. I do have guests on the show. This is also about what I believe. I'm able to voice as a singer-songwriter living in Los Angeles and living a faith-filled life. You know, I feel we have to encourage each other, that also share in this faith-filled journey. And for those that don't know what that is, well, this is also for you to get a glimpse into how I see it in my perspective. So there was something amazing that happened just yesterday. I say amazing because I am very grateful to be born. And yes, my birthday, I just celebrated my 25th birthday. And wow, has time flown? I mean, I remember when I was 21 years old and it felt like last year. Some people are like, yeah, Jamie, you look like you just turned 21. I get that often. What year did you think I turned? Tell me. I want to know. I've gotten all different kind of ages, and it's usually younger than who I am. But, you know, some people peg it right on the spot. So I would love to know the poll. What did you think my age was? And I had a wonderful, I've been actually celebrating all month. Is there anybody else out there that realizes that a birthday month is a thing? I have loved every little bit of celebrating just in little things, celebrating with friends, celebrating by treating myself to a coffee, to, you know, just whatever I've been kind of putting off. This whole month has been more adventures for me. Going to Catalina Island a couple weekends ago. That was something major that I wanted to check off my list. And so then, you know, I realized just how precious, I realized even more just how precious life is, and that you should treat yourself. So if your birthday is coming up, if it's already passed, I'm just glad you're born. So celebrate. Start celebrating yourself. And tell your friends to get in gear if they're not celebrating you enough. I guess that's the Leo in me talking. So yeah, I also celebrate the same birthday with a couple of other amazing friends. So big shout out and love to them. And also in the music world, I do share a birthday with Jennifer Lopez. So happy belated birthday, Jennifer, if you ever watch this. And yeah, I just yesterday spent it locally. I had potentially wanted to go back to Catalina, but plans just changed a little bit. I'm going to go back a little bit later in the year, maybe in the fall. And so yesterday I spent it with family, and I spent it eating. a lot. It felt like a lot because I'm very, I don't eat as much as I used to, I guess you could say. So when I went out to lunch, I had a wonderful sandwich on the ocean. I'm so grateful and blessed to live in California, to have the ocean. And I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to rub it in your face if you're living in the desert right now and you're like, yes, I want some ocean in my life. But I just want to say that it was wonderful. That family is so important, and that my celebration is not done. I am still celebrating this weekend. I'm having some friends over, doing a pool party. So California to say that, I'm sure. And then just continuing. And I might even continue into August. You never know. So I'm going to start off this segment, this whole show with what I call the Inspire Me segment. And for me, again, I know this might sound repetitive for those that are watching, but I'm sure by now you can say it verbatim, that throughout the week I find something that was very inspirational to me, either a quote, something somebody said, or just something that I felt if it inspired me, that yes, it can inspire you as well. That is my hope. That is my desire. And you just got to let me know how inspired you are. This quote comes from John and Stacy Eldridge. They are authors of a book that I just finished and that I would love to do a book review on in a couple episodes from now. And the book is called Captivating. It's it's unlocking the mysteries of a woman's soul. And I had this book for such a long time. It's not a new book. It's been out for a while. And I finally, part of my birthday month, because here's a little something about me. I love to read. I like to read paperback or hardback books, an actual book. What a thought. And so this is the book I read and finished this month as being intentional with, my birthday month. I wanted to finish a book. And so I did. And I'm starting on another book, and I'll talk about that later. But this is what I really liked from a lot of stuff I liked from the book. But this is something that I extra paid attention to. And in fact, it was italicized. And this is it. This is what John and Stacy, the authors of this book, Captivating, said. You have one life to live. It would be best you live your own. Woo, when I heard that, I was like, oh, shoot. That's what I was thinking in my head, because it was almost like start living your own life, like a little, like a little reminder or push, like don't imitate somebody else's life. Don't compare, and try to be somebody else's life. You have your own life. And I liked this because especially finishing this around the time that my birthday was, July 24th, yesterday, it reminded me, because when you get into your birthday month, at least for me, I get really reflective of the past, of the present, where I'm at, and then of the future, where I want to be or where I want to go to. And so when I heard you have one life to live, it would be best you live your own, I thought that was so inspirational, again, to realize, am I living my life? Am I living, or am I trying to live like someone else's life? It's good to realize where you're at. This is something I wrote down as I was preparing my notes for today. And I want to just read it as is because it came just so fluidly. It came from the heart, as does everything I talk about on this show. It's coming from the heart. And that is, I don't want to look back and realize that my wishes outweighed my completions. And that was a big one for me. I don't have much on my bucket list at this time. Yes, I have many desires to fulfill, but nothing that I've had written down in ink. And that is something I encourage you, and this is something I will do as I turned a quarter of a century old, young. As I turned a quarter of a century young, I realized, put down the desires of your heart on paper. Make it tangible. It's in your thoughts, but make it tangible and see how the goodness of the Lord shows up, and He will fulfill so many of the things that is the desires of your heart, he will fulfill. So write it down, because who knows when he's going to fulfill it. It could be 10 years from now. It could be tomorrow. That's the part you don't know, and that's where patience comes in. But I encourage you to write down those things, because just watch. It's a challenge, and it's also a challenge for me. Just watch how God is going to check off those boxes that you write down. Keep it safe. Make sure you don't lose that piece of paper. And I also, hopefully this is encouraging. There was a singer-songwriter that I've been following on Instagram, and actually several that are faith-driven women, faith-led women, and they completed, and they were big things. They weren't just small things, even though you can ask for small things, but ask for the things that your heart most desires. And for them, everything got checked off that they wanted like 10 years ago. And that's so inspiring and encouraging to me, because God listens. He does hear. One of the things, my great Aunt Claire, that's actually how I got Claire in my name, trivia as well. One of the things my great Aunt Claire, who has passed, it's been several years now, I miss her so dearly every day. And I think of her so often. And one of the things she said at the end of her life is that she had no regrets. And that is, when I listen to what John and Stacy said about live your own life, and about what my great aunt, the beautiful life that she led, it was just such a encouragement and a beauty to see, and to be aware, again, that you have one life to live. I wanted to also read, I had, at midnight on July 23rd, the eve of my birthday, I had written down just something on my Instagram storyline, just like to kind of mark, I'm a writer, so I love to write down my feelings. And this is what I wrote down in order to welcome in my new year, my birthday. And that was this. Let me find it. I have it on my phone here. And it says this. Again, I wrote this. It looks like it was at around 10:48 p.m. on the eve of my birthday. Dear you, as I come closer to finishing my 24th year around the sun, I think about where my life has gone so far. By the grace of God, what Him and I have accomplished, and what so much more we have yet to do. I take this moment to thank God for my life, the chance to live and the chance to do so abundantly. All I have to do is reach out and seek to live in His abundance. This coming year, I choose to walk further in that abundant life. Take that next leap of faith and continue to breathe that one breath at a time. There's one more here. We are never guaranteed our next breath. That's something to always remember. We're not invincible. We are human flesh. We're never guaranteed our next breath. So please, raise your alcoholic or non-alcoholic glass with me to living a well-lived life. I am grateful that you have chosen to join me on my life path through my music and other adventures. You truly brighten my day with your love and commitment. Cheers to you. And with that, I'm going to take a swig. I'm going to take a drink from my beautiful GTV mug. Hello, everyone. This is the network that is so amazing, so gracious that I'm able to even have this show. So let's give it up for them. Hey, if we had those sound clips for the applause, this would be the moment for that. But I'm going to take a drink. And cheers that to you. And the life that you are living, may it be abundant. If it's not the life you want to live, if you're at a point right now that it's not the life you want to live, change it. Ask God to help you change it. Because you only have so many breaths on this planet, and don't waste it. That is what I've learned from my birthday. That is the lesson that I've learned. And the question I want you to ponder, as I ponder it myself, is this. Are you fully living the life you were given? If not, ask yourself, why not? What step can you take today to really start living out the abundant life God has called you and called us to live? I ask this question often, and really I do check myself periodically, because I can also get in a funk or figure that comfort is better than next leap of faith. And the thing is, no, next leap of faith is the next call into your destiny. So something I learned, and sometimes the hard way, that comfort is not your friend. All right, so now, so that was my inspirational segment. Did that inspire you? Call in, let me know. And then right now I'm going to sing a worship song, and then I'm going to go into the rest of this inspirational teaching that I heard this past Sunday. I'm going to talk about that and how it does tie in a lot with some other episodes that I have shared from other pastors. But before we do, this song is by Phil Wickham. He is an amazing artist and songwriter. He writes a lot of his songs. I'm not sure if he writes all of them, but he writes a lot of them. And they are so, I love it when I hear an artist that has such a signature sound. You know what I mean? Like when you listen to Elton John, it's like, it's Elton John by his playing. There's so many different ones, but like Shaka Khan, when you listen to her, you're listening to Shaka Khan. So when I listen to Phil Wickham songs, I mean, to me, I can tell when they're a Phil Wickham song. So that's a great thing. And this song is called At Your Name. I heard it actually this past weekend too, and inspired me to sing it for you today as we gather in worship. Wherever you're at, as you're driving in the car, as you're at home, sick, or whatever you're doing, just take a moment. I encourage you to take a moment to lift up God's name in praise. And it will make your day. If it's been terrible, it'll make your day much better too. Thankfulness is a better pill than self-pity, let me tell you. Here's how it goes.
The mountain shakes and crumbles at your name. The ocean roars and tumbles at your name. The angels will bow. The earth will rejoice, your people cry out. Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, endless praise. Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord.
Yes, we do, Lord.
At your name, the morning breaks in glory. At your name, creation sings your story. At your name, the angels will bow, the earth will rejoice, your people cry out. We're singing, Lord of all the earth, we shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, endless praise. Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord.
Sing that again. Lord of all the earth.
up the skies with endless praise, endless praise. Yahweh, Yahweh, oh, we love to shout your name, oh Lord. There is no one like our God. We will praise you, praise you. There's no one like our God. We will sing, we will sing. Yeah, there's no one like our God. We will praise you, praise you. There's no one like our God. We will sing. Lord of all the earth, we shout your praise, shout your praise. You're filling up the skies with endless praise, endless praise. Yahweh, Yahweh, how we love to shout your name, oh Lord of all the earth. We shout your name, shout your name, filling up the skies with endless praise, endless praise. Yahweh, Yahweh, how we love to shout your name, oh Lord. We're singing Yahweh, Yahweh, how we love to shout your name, oh Lord.
So true. Sometimes when I sing a worship song, I like to pinpoint some of my favorite lyrics. And there's so many, so many. When it comes to a worship song, when it's all talking about the glory of God, it's hard to find some favorite. But what I like about this one, I feel in the bridge is, we will praise you, we'll praise you. There's no one like our God. We will sing, we will sing. There's no one like our God. We will praise you, praise you. And just that simple declaration that we will praise you and that there's no one like our God, I think that's my favorite out of this song, at least for this very moment. So right now, we're going to go over the body of the message, or what I learned, and what I want to share with you today is, again, something from a teaching from a church I visited this past Sunday, something that really tied into some of my previous episodes that talked about how your thoughts directly tie to your heart, and from your heart spring the issues of life, and how it is so important to keep in check and to evaluate and to daily renew your thoughts, renew your mind, because again, from your thoughts, it directly ties to your heart, and from your heart, you're going to live out your life. And so if what your thoughts are saying, what your thought, if it's a negative thought, then more than likely you are going to live out a negative lifestyle. And so to be aware of that, because if you don't want to live a negative lifestyle, hey, there's some people out there it seems like that's all they want to do, have a negative life. But for those that want to change, that don't want to have a negative life, this is, you should check out those episodes, those previous ones, a couple back. So check those out. And this today ties into those episodes, because the name of the teaching was The Source of Our Words. And what it went through was, the core Bible reference was James 3:1-12, which I'll read out in just a second. This is the thing that I have come to believe, is that we have the power to control two things, our thoughts and our hearts, because we have the choice on how we are to, renewing our mind. That is a choice. And so we have control on whether or not we are going to ask God and help seek to renew our thoughts. And therefore, we have the choice on our heart. Yes, there are some emotions that come in that feel like they're overwhelming, and that's when we ask God in everything. Ask God to step in and to help, because we're not meant to do this life alone. We are not meant to do it on our own. By the grace of God is how we should live, knowing that it's not our own strength, but God's strength. And so this was the very intriguing thing, that yes, we can control our thoughts and our hearts, but we cannot control our tongues. And it says in the Bible, so I'm not, it's like, you're like, what? Yeah, of course we control our tongues. We can control what we say. But actually in the Bible, it talks about how that is the one thing, as small as it is in our body, that is the one thing that is just, it's poison. So let me continue on. So James, in the Bible, again, it's James chapter 3, 1 through 12. And James is speaking to the 12 tribes scattered across the nations. And this is verse 1. Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. Now, I remember the pastor had talked about how he gets so many different emails. This is to me, I believe it's a sad thing because it's so superficial. But the pastor has gotten so many emails about how, it's like, you wore that shirt twice, like you're like all these things, or like, like you didn't say that as eloquently as, it could have been like this. So many critics out there in the world. It's just that is what is. But he was talking about, you better not be a teacher if you can't take the criticism, because you will be judged more strictly, and also not just by people, but by also when we are leading others, it is such a responsibility, and it is not to be taken lightly. And to know that, if we're saying God's name, we have to check and make sure that we're saying it with truth. Because there's so many teachings out there that, it's like false prophets, it says in the Bible, to be aware of false prophets. So just as a disclaimer, this is me sharing my viewpoints and what I believe, but please dive into the Bible yourself. And I know every Sunday I hear my pastor, whatever church I'm at, I hear my pastor say that, read the Bible, and it is so true. Because only from the Bible can we actually get the direct, and it's not just the words of someone else saying it, but it's the Word of God. So I encourage you. And therefore, we are going to go to, again, James. So verse 1 was, not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their body in check. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Again, the bit is, like what they chomp on. And when you pull the reins, it pulls this way or it pulls that way. Big horse is controlled by this little thing. Or we take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder where the pilot wants to go. Just an example, the Titanic, and it had a small rudder. This gigantic ship, any ship, cruise line or whatever, it has a very small rudder, but that rudder is so important. Otherwise, you'd be floundering at sea. It steers the ship, no matter how small. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. And the pastor had talked about an example about how, yes, just by what one person said, it sparked a whole controversy within this small town, and it was something that wasn't pleasing to God, and so that was all started because of what one person said. Now that seems like such a great responsibility, to check what you say and like to double or to take a second longer to think before you speak. But it is so important. And are we perfect at it? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm sure you already knew that. And I'm absolutely knew that about myself. But we are called to, be aware, and to also, let me continue on. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. Those are major things right there. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind. Whoa, just think of this. Because of Adam and how he spoke, we have the names of creatures, because it was with his tongue that Adam created the names for every animal. I mean, without a tongue, it would be called, that'd be it. So what power the tongue has, and it can be used, it has a world of evil. And then all of the animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind. Just think of a dog, when you give it a trick, you're using your tongue, you're using your words in order to make them command. Such power. And this is the part that I highlighted. But no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. The pastor had also given an example about, I think it was in the Philippines or somewhere, not in the U.S., there is this, I guess you want to call it like a competition, maybe a competition where these cobras, they fight a human. And so, a lot of people are scared of snakes, and I mean, myself included. And so they feed on that fear, and people come from all over, and they put bets. I mean, this is a lifestyle for some people. They get into a ring with cobras, and, they earn the money off of those bets. And a lot of times that bet is, if they get stung on, or if they get bit on the hand, that's their bet. Or, if they get bit on where they're going to get bit, they bet on that. And just, it just seems like such a good example with the fact that it's a poison, it's like, and when you surround yourself by those cobras, when you're tempting with that evil, it was a good example from the pastor. And then with the tongue, we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. According to James, the tongue is most resistant to change and seems to be connected to our old sin. That was one of the notes from the pastor. And I just want to, before I go on to the next verse that was mentioned, this is the part in verse 10 that really stuck out to me, and for me to be even more aware of. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. And it's like a whoa, humble me moment, because, as I used to be on many worship teams, and just whatever I'm singing, I want to praise God, bring positive and encouragement. And so when I think of this, I'm like, I think of all the times where I said something that wasn't honoring to God, and it's from the same mouth, and it just was like a whoa moment. I sat back and I was just thinking, how poisonous is that tongue? How poisonous it is. Praise God one day, and then, speak negative or not anything, anything below just an amazing human being that God created. if we talk down about that human being, it's just what a humbling moment to realize, you know? And so for me, that was a verse that really spoke to me out of this teaching. And again, how can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? No. I mean, the answer is no. When you got salt water, you got all salt water. And when you have fresh water, that's the base. I mean, of course, when you sprinkle in some salt, there's no way to keep them separated. And so that was such a eye-opening moment for me to remember, because of course, like for me, when I grew up and even now, it's like, be careful what you say, like what you say can hurt someone's feelings, or, what you say does have that power. Is it what you mean? And I grew up with that, my parents teaching me that. But as I get older, as I become an adult, as I'm away from my parents, I also have to keep that in check. And so the next verse that the pastor had talked about was Luke 6:43 through 45. And this is what it says. Verse 43, no good tree bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes or grapes from briars. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Okay, so that, before I move on, this again ties to when I heard that in the Bible, and I thought about the previous teachings about, how your heart and your mind are connected, then I realized that it's your heart, your mind, and your tongue. Though you cannot control your tongue, as it said, no human being, or you can't tame the tongue, I should say. That's, again, in verse 8 of James 3. We have the ability, though we can't tame it, we have to battle with our old sins a lot. A lot of things in my life comes up where it's like, that was the old Jamie that would have said something harsh, would have said something out of anger, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? So it's like, it's dormant, but we do have the power to recognize and to really align all three elements of our body. And so, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Well, if your thoughts are positive thoughts, then your heart will be full of positive thoughts. And then, thus, your mouth will speak positive thoughts. And you could do that many different ways. If your thoughts are negative thoughts, then your heart is going to harbor that negative. And then if your heart is harboring the negative, then your mouth will thus speak negative. And then sometimes when your thoughts are positive, but then your heart is still negative, then you got some issues you still got to work out. It's complicated. So I thought, when I heard that verse, I said, okay, so what do I do? If you're asking, what do I do? Well, simply this. The pastor, this was some notes that I wrote down from what he said, and that is that your tongue is the dashboard to your soul. So, and that's a whole other element as well. We didn't even talk about the soul yet. So, you got so many elements that are working, and remember that it is a spiritual battle. It's not just a battle of the flesh that you're dealing with, but an actual spiritual battle. That the devil is trying to come and kill, steal, and destroy. He will do that through other people, but he can also send, don't give him the power or the stronghold in your life. But he will try to send his demons to come and, put negativity in your thoughts, give you, or try to destroy your hope. And so that's when your soul comes in as well. We are spiritual beings. We have a spirit, and there is good and evil working against each other. And the good is guarding you. I mean, that's what we talk about, guardian angels, and that's when we talk about, help to protect me from, these thoughts or things like that. So there's so many different elements working, and that's the beauty of it, that, God created us in a complex manner. There's so much complexity, and just the skin of, like our cells, everything is so ornately made. And so our tongue is at work, what we say, our thoughts are at work, our brain, and our heart's at work, and also our, what am I missing? Help me out here. And thus our soul as well. And so we must say, we must make a stand. We must be aware. Again, I know I say this often, but we must be aware and recognize where our heart is, where our minds are, and to get them to where, it's pleasing to God. And so you say what is in your heart. If you want to change the words that you speak, then you must change your heart first. Thus, pulling it all the way back, you must renew your mind daily. This is something you wake up. Last episode, there's so much. I love the beauty of it. There's so much that ties in all these episodes so far, and it's like, oh yeah, that episode ties into this, ties into that. So I encourage you to go watch those other episodes. And so what I was saying is that our mind, we have where our mind is, will then connect to your heart. Again, I know I'm like repeating myself, but once we realize where our mind is, we'll know where our heart is. And then once we know where our heart is, then we'll be able to change the direction of what our tongues are saying. And I was really encouraged by that teaching this weekend. I hope that encouraged you. And again, that was just like briefly going over what the preacher had talked about. And so again, hope that was encouraging. And one second here. We are going to now, I feel really led to go into some more worship. And if you want to call in during this time, please feel free to do so. I just really feel like, the spirit of thankfulness needs to be present in whatever we do, because we can get, I'm talking about myself, I can get so ungrateful and take things for granted so often. And so when we come to worship, it is a spirit of thankfulness. It is a spirit of recognition of the Maker who created us, who loves us. And so I just want to sing. Please join me in worship. And again, please reach out if you are feeling led to do so. This next song we're about to sing is called Give Me Jesus. It is by Jeremy Camp, and it's been around again for a long time. I listened to this song in my childhood, and the lyrics never cease to ring truth to me. And these are the lyrics I'm going to read off. In the morning when I rise, in the morning when I rise. They are repetitive. In the morning when I rise, give me Jesus. You can have all this world, just give me Jesus. When I am alone, yes, when I am alone. When I am alone, give me Jesus. When I come to die, oh, when I come to die. When I come to die, give me Jesus. Simple, so simple, the lyric, but it's so strong in the fact that, The thing is, yes, we are made complex. And yes, when you put emotions in and when you put in your daily, life, things can get complex. But the beauty of peace is that it's not. It's the simple coming to Jesus and realizing that he is your source and that everything you've ever wanted and anything you ever need is through him and in him. And that's what I like about this song, is its simplicity. And it goes something like this.
In the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, give me Jesus. Just give me Jesus. Oh, when I am alone. Oh, when I am alone. Yeah, when I am alone, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Yeah, give me Jesus. Oh, you can have all this world.
Next song I'm about to sing is such an anthem for me. And when we're at that moment to seek God, and when we realize that there is nothing else that will compare, then we realize we have hope. And this is a song called All My Hope. Reuben Morgan and Jason Ingram wrote it, and this is how it goes.
Light in my darkness, peace for my soul. You are my rescue. You never let go. You're the light in my darkness, peace for my soul. You are my rescue. You've never let go. 'Cause all my hope is in you, and all my strength is in you. With every breath, my soul will rest in you. Here in my weakness, yeah, you're always the same. Your love is my shelter. Your life is my way. 'Cause all my hope is in you, and all my strength is in you. With every breath, my soul will rest in you. Oh yeah, all my hope is in you, and all my strength is in you. With every breath, because all my hope is in you, and all my strength is in you. With every breath, my soul will rest in you. With every breath, my soul will rest in you.
I encourage you as you go through your week. I encourage you when you go through your week to be thankful, to live, again, as I began this episode, to live a life that's your own and to find your identity in Christ. And so I challenge you. I can't wait to see you for my next episode next week. And you can find these episodes on my YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/JamieClaire. Thank you, everyone, and just have a wonderful, wonderful week. And stay in touch. I do have an email at ask.ibelieve@gmail.com. I'll see you next time.
I believe in chemistry to the sound of violins. I believe that what you see isn't all when you forgive. I believe that identity is a